Ohio voters are heading to the polls today to cast their ballots in the state's primary elections.
Yeah, the most contentious and closely watched race is the Senate Republican primary. It's considered to be an early referendum on former President Donald Trump's remaining influence on the party. No clear frontrunner has emerged to replace retiring Republican Senator Rob Portman. However, author and venture capitalist J.D. Vance received a bump in the polls last month after Mr. Trump publicly endorsed him.
In the race for Ohio governor, incumbent Republican Mike DeWine is poised to secure his party's nomination for another term. On the Democratic side, former Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley is vying to become the state's first elected female governor. She's facing off against former Cincinnati Mayor John Cranley. Joining us now from Washington, D.C. is CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion. Hi, Nikole. So give us some background as to why this Republican Senate race is being seen as a significant test of former President Trump's remaining grip on the GOP.
Well, first of all, this is a big bellwether because this is one of the first contests that we've seen in the midterm elections. Of course, we had the primaries in Texas earlier this year, but this is really kind of the opening salvo, the starting line, if you will, as we will see a number of primaries in states over the next couple of months. And former President Trump has endorsed more than 100 candidates, and he has been quite involved in this Ohio Senate primary. We have seen him campaign in the state. Of course, he endorsed, as you mentioned, J.D. Vance, who right now appears to be the front runner in this contest. But what's interesting about this one is that you have several of the Republican candidates, trying to tie themselves in some shape or form to the former president, even if they don't necessarily have his endorsement, like Josh Vance or Josh Mandel, I should say, and some of the other candidates in this race. So really, this will be a test of the former president's endorsement, whether or not he still has that political capital, given all of the candidates that he has endorsed in various primaries across the country. And so that's why people will be watching this race closely tonight.
Nikole, as you know, New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorsed candidate Nina Turner on Monday for the Democratic House race. But the Congressional Progressive Caucus has thrown its support behind Representative Shontel Brown. Now, you spoke with Representative Brown recently. She responded to the backlash that she's faced from liberals after the caucus's endorsement. Let's hear what she had to say.
My voting record is one of the most progressive in the entire congressional body. And so I think that those folks that may just need to get to know me a little bit better, I certainly have progressive values, supported the legislation of my colleagues around environmental justice, criminal justice reform, voting rights, affordable health care for everyone.
Certainly weren't expecting a break between the Congressional Progressive Caucus and AOC. Why do you think the caucus backed Representative Brown, and why did AOC break with the caucus?
Yeah, well, this is a really interesting contest. It's actually a rematch between Shontel Brown, who is now the incumbent, and Nina Turner, who is somebody who co-chaired Bernie Sanders' 2020 presidential campaign, had the backing of Bernie Sanders. She had the backing of AOC before, who publicly stumped for her, although this time around gave her endorsement just hours before voters head to the polls. And again, as you mentioned, the Congressional Progressive Caucus now for the first time backing Brown. They say this is based on her voting record. But again, this has been a race that previously has kind of been cast as kind of a battle between the establishment wing of the Democratic Party and the progressive wing. And so there is kind of this clash between the candidates over who is more progressive, if you will. And Nina Turner, the challenger in this race, who I also spoke to, told me in her words that there are a lot of progressives in name only, kind of throwing a little dig towards Congresswoman Brown. So this is about, of course, trying to get the vote out. This district has been reshaped by redistricting in the state. And so, again, this is one of those things where now you see both of these candidates really trying to compete over who is more progressive in this race.
Race is heating up. Nikole Killion, thank you.